Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. I'm guest designing for Love from Lizi using her May 2025 card kit called For Him. This is a great card kit, perfect for masculine cards, filled with beautiful blues and browns. If you're interested in the kit or any of the add-ons, I do have links in the description box below. I know for a lot of crafters, they find masculine cards very challenging, so it's always exciting when there's a masculine kit available. Using the new kit and some of the May add-ons, I have 6 cards to share with you. I will be using some card sketches for inspiration. This first sketch is from Mojo Monday. It's number 543. And if you're interested in the sketches I share in this video, I have all of that information on my coordinating blog post. The link is in the description box below, or you can simply head over to kristiemarcotte.com. For my first card, I selected 2 pattern papers for the background. This fun diamond print is the larger piece, and then the small circles on the left side, this is a 1-inch strip. For a little bit of separation and shine between the 2 pattern paper pieces, I'm adding a Love from Lizi peel off. This is the brown color with gold overlay in pinstripe style. Since most of the area will be covered up, I was able to use some of the small scrap pieces. This is why you always save those leftover peel off pieces. The brown cardstock I used for the background and the light blue cardstock are included in the kit. For the small rectangle piece, this light brown sort of grayish color, this is an add-on you can purchase. It's the Neutrals paper pad, and I will have that linked in the description box below. This card will be featuring the clock die set that's included in the kit. This is the larger size clock face with the Roman numeral numbers. I use dark blue cardstock for it, and I'm adding it on a circle die cut. I use more of the Neutrals pattern paper. I cut the circle just a tiny bit smaller. That way you can't see any of the edge. So I'll glue those 2 pieces together using Barely Art glue. For the clock hands, I cut this out of gold mirror cardstock, and this cardstock is included in one of the add-on specialty bundles you can purchase. I'll be adding the clock on a stitch circle die cut, and I cut this out from some white pearlescent cardstock. The stitch circle die set is from Love from Lizi. She has a great variety of nested die sets in different shapes. I'm adhering the clock hands down, and I'm not really picking any specific time. I decided to put the minute hand at about 8 minutes, and the hour hand is closer to 4. Realistically, the hour hand should be pointing directly to the 4, and I actually have it slightly to the left. When I was assembling the clock, I really wasn't paying that close attention to where I was placing the hands. I'll be popping up the clock using foam dimension. I grabbed scrapbook.com's large and small foam squares in the 1mm thickness. Make sure to get good coverage on the back. I'll even fill in some of those smaller areas around the outside edge with the small foam squares. Now I'll remove the release paper and adhere the clock in the center of the white circle, making sure that 12 is directly at the top. When I was ready to adhere it down, I noticed a tiny bit of glue peeking out, so I simply wipe that away with my finger. For a sentiment, I'll be adding the word hello. Now this sentiment is not included on the stamp set that's in the kit, but it is a Love from Lizi stamp set. It's one of my favorite and most used Love from Lizi stamp set. It's called Hello Sunshine. There are 9 different fonts for the word hello. I'll add the sentiment on the left side of the blue strip. And since I'm stamping directly onto the card, I will be using my Mini Misty. took me a moment, but I wanted to make sure to get the sentiment nice and straight. Now I'll ink it up using dark chocolate ink from scrapbook.com, and I will ink it up a few times to get a nice solid impression. For embellishments, I'm adding 3 of the tiger eye gems that are included in the kit. There are a total of 4. I thought the colors work perfectly, and the circle shape ties in with the circle pattern paper on the right side. There isn't any adhesive on the back, so to adhere them in place, I'll use some small glue dots. I find the easiest way to use glue dots is to push the item onto the glue dot while it's still on that backer sheet. It's really difficult to lift the glue dot off and then try to adhere it on the back of the gem. I'll add all 3 of the gems in the upper right-hand corner of this grayish brown pattern paper. I know it looks like cardstock, but this is actually pattern paper. For a final finishing touch, I'll add 3 of these teeny tiny triangle stickers. I think Lizi called them micro stickers. This sheet is included in the card kit, but you can also purchase them separately as an add-on. Now they're very thin, so they really don't add a lot of dimension. It does help to use a pair of tweezers to pick them up and place them on your project. I chose 3 different sizes of the triangles, and I have them pointing to the sentiment hello. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 1. For card number 2, the sketch is from Sugar Pea Designs. This is Sugar Sketch number 15. I selected 2 pattern papers. I have this grid paper for the background, and for the narrow strip on the left side, I selected the smaller star design. I'll layer both of them on some dark teal cardstock, and this is cardstock from my stash. I'm rounding all 4 corners of the star paper and the cardstock layer using a corner chomper and the 1/4 size. For the image panel, I have some craft cardstock, and this is included in the kit. I'll round the top and bottom corner on the right side, and this time I'm using the 1/2 inch size corner. Before adhering those pieces down, I'll add a Love from Lizi peel off on the back of the card, and you'll only see a tiny bit peeking out on the right and left side, so I am using some smaller scrap pieces. I have the same brown peel-offs with gold overlay in the pinstripe style. Chose the medium and the narrowest width. I'll wrap the ends around the back, layer this piece on the dark teal cardstock. My pattern paper piece is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches, and the teal cardstock layer is an additional 1/8 of an inch. So 4 1/8 of an inch by 5 3/8 of an inch. Now I'll put more adhesive on the back and add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. Next, I'll add the star panel on the left side of the card, but before adding the craft image panel, I'll put a scrap piece of cardstock on the right side, just in the area where it goes off of that star panel. That way it stays nice and level. And I didn't show it, but I did have 2 layers of white cardstock. I already adhered them together. For a sentiment, I'll be adding birthday wishes, and this is from Love from Lizi's Bugs and Kisses stamp set. This stamp set was included in the March 2025 card kit, and you can purchase it separately. I stamped the sentiment on white cardstock using dark brown ink, and I'll layer it on some of the teal cardstock. Before adhering it down, I'll add 2 of the ephemera pieces, a gift bag and also a bouquet of balloons. I'll glue the balloons down first, then the gift bag on top, so it looks like the balloons are inside the bag. Now I'll put glue on the back and attach the sentiment, and the very top of it will sit on the bottom of the gift bag. For a little extra detail, I have a small scrap piece of the dark teal cardstock, and I'm cutting a banner. First cut a fishtail on the bottom, then I'll cut the right side in at an angle, flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. And I'm adding the banner in the upper left-hand corner of the star paper. It was a little bit too tall, so I did trim off a tiny bit. Then I'll adhere it in place with glue, and the very top of the banner will go over the cardstock layer behind the star paper. For a final finishing touch and a little bit of shine, I'm adding a bunch of the teeny tiny circle stickers. There are 3 different sizes, and I'm randomly adding them on the background around the balloons and the gift bag. This sheet of stickers reminds me of Love from Lizi peel-offs, but the sizes are a bit smaller, and there are also shapes that Lizi doesn't have available in her peel-off styles. I hope it's something Lizi will be able to get again. I really enjoyed using them with the cards in this kit. So I'll add just a few more tiny circles on the right side, filling in some of those emptier areas. So there is my finished card. I think this one turned out really fun, and I love all that pretty shine. Now moving on to card number 3. I selected 3 pattern papers, both sizes of the star design and also the stripe paper. For the 2 star strips, these are 5 1/4 of an inch by 1.5 inches. And the stripe paper is 5 1/4 of an inch by 1 inch. I'll add the star papers down first on some dark blue cardstock, and this is cardstock included in the kit. Before adding the stripe paper in the center, I'm putting one of the ribbons around that stripe paper toward the bottom. And this piece of ribbon is included in the kit. To hold that ribbon in place, I put adhesive on the back side, and I'll also add a small piece of double-sided adhesive tape on the front, and that'll hold the center area of the ribbon. I'll wrap the ends around the back, secure those in place with more adhesive, then I'll add this strip on the center of the card, and that'll cover up the gap area. But a little bit of contrast and separation between the pattern papers. I'm adding a Love from Lizi peel-off. This is the brown color in pinstripe style, and I'm using the widest width. Since I'll be covering up the very center of the card with the sentiment and image, I'm able to use some of the small scrap pieces. Now I'll put adhesive on the back and add my card front onto a card base. All of my cards in this video are American Standard A2 size, 5.5 inches by 4.25 inches. I've already stamped the sentiment Birthday Wishes. This is the same sentiment I use for card number 2. I stamped it on a stitched postage rectangle die cut, and this is a die set from Love from Lizi. On the back side of the postage die cut, I added a scrap piece of cardstock, and that gives it just that tiny bit of dimension. I'll put glue on the back, adhere the rectangle on the center of the card. Then I'll add 2 of the ephemera pieces, a present and a cupcake with a large blue bow on top. And I did pop those up with foam dimension. Since the 2 images will overlap slightly, I didn't add foam dimension on the very left side of the cupcake image. For a final finishing touch, using more of the micro stickers, I'm adding one of the ovals on the right and left side of the sentiment. Then I'll put 2 small circles next to the ovals, starting with a medium-sized circle and then the smallest size circle. And I'm trying to make sure to get those evenly spaced on the right and left side. They're probably not perfect, but I think I got them pretty close. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 3. For card number 4, the sketch is from Cards TV. It's sketch number 11. For the background of my card, I'm using one of the pattern papers that has this beautiful foil finish. It's covered in direction symbols. I cut the piece to 4 inches by 5¼ inches, and I'm layering it on some of the neutrals pattern paper. And that piece is A2 size. I'll put adhesive on the back and add my card front onto a card base. For the 2 triangles, I'm using some of the self-adhesive velvet that's included in the kit. This beautiful chocolate brown color. And I love that there is adhesive on the back. I cut out a 2 1/4 inch square, then cut it in half to create the 2 triangles. And the adhesive is nice and sticky, so you don't need to add any extra glue. For the image, I've already stamped out the pocket watch, and this image is included on the stamp set in the kit. I stamped it on some of the neutrals pattern paper, selected one of the lighter colors. I used brown ink for the pocket watch and black ink for the hands of the clock. I layered it on some gold mirror cardstock, and you might notice that I don't have any of that gold layer at the bottom. Well, that's because I'll be adding the sentiment down there, so I was able to cut that gold mirror piece just a tiny bit shorter. I always have to save the pretty specialty cardstock. For a sentiment, I stamped the word time, and this sentiment is included on the stamp set in the kit. And then the rest of the sentiment is with you is a gift. So time with you is a gift. I'll layer the sentiment on some of the pattern paper, slightly darker shade than I use for the background with the pocket watch. Before adding the rest of the sentiment, I will be popping up the image and the word time using foam dimension. Grab some black foam from scrapbook.com, and I'm not adding any in the upper left-hand corner or lower right-hand corner, since that area will sit on the brown velvet. I'll remove the release paper from the foam and add this piece on the center of the card. Next, I'll add the rest of the sentiment. It'll go underneath the word time on the right side. The very left side of the sentiment will go off of the velvet, so I will put a small foam square there. Then add glue behind the rest of the sentiment. Then I'll adhere it in place. And I wasn't sure if the glue would adhere to the velvet, but every time I pressed it down, it shifted slightly upward. I tried a couple different times. Ended up removing it, and on the back side, instead of the glue, I'll put a piece of clear double-sided adhesive tape. And that seemed to work much better. The velvet is super soft, and I love the texture it adds to the card, but it does not like glue on top of it. So I would recommend using a different type of adhesive. For embellishments, I'm adding Love from Lizi peel-offs. This is the mini circle style in brown, and this is the sheet that's included in the kit. I'll add 3 large circles on the right side and 2 medium-sized circles on the left side of the word time. Love from Lizi's mini shape peel-offs are perfect for embellishments, and she offers a wide variety of different colors, shapes, and finishes. The brown stickers I'm using have a vinyl finish to them. For a final finishing touch, I'm adding the smallest size circle in the center of the clock hands, looking like the little metal attachment. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 4. The micro stickers that are included in the kit are so much fun. I ended up using them on 5 of my cards. For card number 5, the card sketch is from Freshly Made Sketches. It's number 679. I selected 2 pattern papers using the stripe paper for the background, and I cut that out using Love from Lizi's stitched rectangle die. For the large banner in the center, I selected this fun style with lots of bow ties. I'll cut a fishtail at the bottom, then layer this piece on some dark brown cardstock, and this is cardstock included in the kit. I'll cut the fishtail again with that cardstock layer. For the narrow strip going across the card, I'm adding some of the washi tape that's included in the kit. It's this light brown color with a white grid. I cut it just a tiny bit wider than this panel, wrap the end around the back, and since it is slightly transparent, you can still see some of that stripe background, so I decided to add a second layer. And I made sure when adding that second piece to line it up with the white grid design. And with the second layer, it shows up more on the background. I'll wrap the ends around the back, put adhesive on the back of the stitched rectangle die cut piece using ATG tape and also barely art glue since it does have that faux stitch detail. Extra adhesive will make sure it lays nice and flat on the dark brown cardstock layer. Put more adhesive on the back and add my card front onto a card base. Next, I'll add the bow tie banner. Put adhesive on the back, line it up on the center, and the very top will be flush with the top of that pattern paper layer. Next, I'll add a large blue stitch circle die cut, and this blue cardstock color is included in the kit. Put barely art glue on the back, adhere the circle in place. For a sentiment, I'll be adding the word hello. I used the Hello Sunshine stamp set, and I added 3 small circles on the right and left side of the sentiment, and that image is included on the stamp set in this kit. And I will point out that image here in just a moment. For an image, I'm adding a plaid shirt ephemera piece, and I will pop it up using foam squares. But before adhering the ephemera piece down, I'll add the sentiment. I'll cut a fishtail on the right and left side. If you have a sentiment banner die, you can use that. But sometimes I find it just as easy to cut those fishtails with a pair of scissors. So there was the Hello stamp set I used, and then the 3 small circle image is in the upper right-hand corner of the stamp set that's included in the kit. After putting barely art glue on the back, I'll adhere the sentiment piece at the bottom of the circle. Then I'll remove the release paper from the foam and add the shirt right above the sentiment hello. For embellishments, I'm adding more of the mini circle peel-offs in brown. And just to make them easier to remove from the sheet, I am removing that negative portion. I'll put 3 larger circles in the upper right-hand corner, a medium, and a small circle in the lower left-hand corner. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 5. I love using general sentiments on the outside of the card. That way, this card will work for a variety of different themes. I may even stamp Happy Father's Day on the inside. For my final card design, number 6, the card sketch is from MFT. This is sketch number 6. I selected 2 pattern papers, the small circle for the background, and then the triangle pattern for that small rectangle piece. For a little extra detail and shine, I'm adding 2 Love from Lizi peel-offs on the left side of the card. This is the brown color with gold overlay in pinstripe style. Use the medium and the narrowest width. I'll wrap the ends around the back, layer this piece on some of the dark blue cardstock that's included in the kit. The circle pattern paper piece is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches, and the blue cardstock layer is A2 size. After adding my card front onto a card base, I'll adhere the triangle pattern paper piece on the left side of the card, putting it at an angle following the design of the card sketch. For a sentiment, I've already stamped out birthday wishes, and this sentiment is on the Bugs and Kisses stamp set. I'll cut a fishtail on the right side, and I am layering it on some dark brown cardstock. I'll add it flush all the way on the left side, and then cut the fishtail layer again on the right side. I'll be adding this fun cake ephemera piece, putting it on a stitch circle die cut, and I did use some white pearlescent cardstock for the circle. The right side of the circle does go off the edge of the triangle pattern paper, so I did put 3 small foam squares behind it just on the right side. I'll put Barely Art glue on the left side. Before adding the sentiment banner down, I will need to put some layers behind it, and they'll vary in thicknesses since it sits on top of sometimes 2 layers, other times 3 layers. I'll add a cardstock layer on the left side, and then on the very right side and left side, I'll put some foam dimension. And I'm using 1mm thick foam. After adding the different layers, I'll place the banner on top, run my finger over it to see if it's sitting nice and level. Then I'll remove the release paper from the foam, put Barely Art glue behind the rest of the sentiment, and adhere it in place. And I'm tilting the card up toward me, trying to make sure to get that sentiment nice and straight. Sometimes it's tricky when you have an angled element on the background of your card. I've already put foam dimension behind the cake ephemera. I'll remove the release paper and adhere it in the center of the circle die cut. For embellishments, I'm using more of the mini circles in brown, following the design of the card sketch for placement on those. And then for a final finishing touch, thought it would be fun to have a little more shine on the sentiment using 2 different styles of the micro stickers. The little zigzag, I'll cut a small piece, put it on the right and left side of the sentiment. And if I had thought of this before, it would have been easier to attach those little zigzag pieces before adding the sentiment piece on the layer and then foam underneath. But I did pretty good at cutting a small enough piece for the right and left side. And then I'll also add some of the small circles. Put 2 above the zigzag and 2 below on the left side. And then on the right side, I'll add 1 small circle above and below that zigzag. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 6. I love how this one turned out, and now I have several masculine birthday cards on hand. Now here's another look at the 6 cards I made using Love from Lizi's May 2025 card kit called For Him. It's always nice to have a card kit that's more masculine themed, although you could use this for anyone who loves the blues and browns and the different images. If you are interested in purchasing the kit or any of the products I used in this video, I do have links in the description box below. This is a monthly kit, so quantities are always limited. The only way to guarantee receiving a kit is to sign up and subscribe, and I do have links for subscribing listed below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.